Resistors make it slow, wouldn't you know? It travels at the speed of light, wouldn't you know? A shock can give quite a fright. Things aren't what they used to be, thanks to electricity. Things aren't what they used to be at all. Things aren't what they used to be, thanks to electricity. Things aren't what they used to be at all. Start with a spark.
Welcome back to Houston EV Hub. We took a little break there because I needed to move my house. And I put it all on my back, and it's all in our garage right now. But Susie, who plays Zap, says I look tired, and she's right. About 5 hours sleep, if that much. I'm supposed to get 8 to 10, everybody. That's optimum. But this is Houston EV Hub, featuring members of Houston Electric Vehicle Association, and our meeting is when?
It's tomorrow at 6:30. Look us up at houstoneva.org.
And we're right here on KPFT 90.1 FM, also live at kpft.org and in the archives for 60 days. I'm David C. Lowy. I'm joined by our producer, Colin Lowen.
Good morning.
And our special guest panelist and the usual voice of Zap, Susie Lovejoy.
Good morning.
Today's show is called First and Last Mile, referring to the essential community services provided by Evolve Houston, an organization devoted to improving the air we breathe by advocating for and implementing electric-powered transportation. We'll be talking with the president of Evolve, Casey Brown. Please call in with your questions and comments to 713-526-5738 and push 2 to talk with us or with Casey Brown directly with your questions and comments. I have a little confession to make. While moving, I actually drove a 3/4-ton cargo van that was powered by, and please, don't call in to shame me, gasoline. I can't believe it. But I went back so easily into that style, the way of shifting and all that. Now I'm in my EV, and I'm still grabbing for the shifter. So it's very strange, but please forgive me. We've announced our meeting tomorrow evening, and I think we have Colin's cool fact.
All right. Today's fact is EV batteries are reliable. Less than 1% have failed since 2016. Since they're built to last as long as the vehicle, 97.5% of EVs sold in the U.S. are still using their original battery. This is a common question I hear. What about the batteries? Most manufacturers' batteries are warranted for 8 years, some for 10 years. There was a recent study that indicated 20-year life for current batteries. And Tesla did talk about a million-mile car at one time.
All right, a million-mile cars. I often wonder how many miles I've driven in my 55-plus years of driving, but there's no answer to that. There must be a way to estimate it, but I know lately I'm driving farther, which was a questionable move on our part to get both to my wife's work and here to the studio, but learning new ways to get here. And Houston's traffic is one of the problems. I think possibly autonomous cars in the future will help with that. Who knows? There are various opinions about that. We're introducing Susie's electric question, which if any of you have the answer to, please call in at 713-526-5738 and push 2 to talk or to answer this question. If no one calls in with the answer, we'll try to provide the answer before the end of the show. Susie?
Okay, so I play the part of Zap. I love being on the radio. I love your show. I've learned a lot. I know about the philosophies of EV, but I still drive a gas-powered car, a Subaru, in fact. But I'm thinking of my next car being electric, but I don't know how to plug it in. Can you tell me the first very basic step? Because I bet some EV listeners are a bit like me, who are just experimenting and thinking, this show's so good, I want an EV.
Well, there are 3 of us here who know the answer to that, and if nobody calls in with it, we'll give our opinions on that. But let's get right to Evolve and Casey Brown. I know a little bit about you. I get the newsletters, and I seldom take the time to read them. I skim over them, and I know there's a lot going on. But please tell us about what Evolve is, how it got started, what your role is, and what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me today.
You're welcome.
Certainly excited to be here. Evolve Houston is a 501c3 based right here in Houston, Texas, and we focus on improving air quality through accelerated adoption of electric vehicles. And there's a lot of things that we do to share with Houstonians, our friends, family, and neighbors, about EV technology. That goes from test drives to events. We provide all sorts of education. Our newsletter is one of those forms of education. But we want to give people experiences with the vehicles and a hands-on opportunity to experience an EV for themselves. And so we've been around since the end of 2019. The EV story of Houston, Texas is an exciting one, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, how did it begin? Who started this, and what was their initial purpose, and who are you affiliated with now?
Yeah, so we were originally started with 5 organizations: the City of Houston, the University of Houston, CenterPoint Energy, Shell, and NRG. And those organizations got together and recognized a need in the space for some electric vehicle expertise and the opportunity to leverage a single platform to formulate public and private collaboration that then leads to accelerated EV adoption. There's a lot of challenges at a large scale to create a landscape where you can successfully have EVs, and Houston's done a great job to date. And so that was the premise. That was at the end of 2019, right? So 5 years ago, and since then we've kind of grown. We've grown quite significantly in our corporate and public sector partners. And so today I'm proud to share that we cover a 13-county region. It seems to be ever growing. We constantly get phone calls from other places about what we do.
I didn't know that.
We're a nonpartisan, non-lobbying organization, and so data-driven, and very community-based. We think that's very important in a new technology like electric vehicles.
Well, I know about the micro transit transportation available to get people in that first and last mile, as it's referred to. But what are some of the other things? I mean, we'll talk more in detail about that. But what are some of the other things on a daily basis that Evolve is involved in?
Yeah, so you see us, I'll kind of step back from daily. You'll see us at a lot of big events. Some events are really large, like the Houston Auto Show, where we're the presenting sponsor. And some events are very small community events. So we think that it's very important to engage with communities all across the region. We get involved. Not everyone gets to see some of the strategy work that we work on for a large corporation or a public sector entity, or some of the guidance that we provide in our research. And so those are important things that every day we're working on some form of thinking ahead in the future in terms of infrastructure and workforce development, and right in front of our feet, awareness and availability of these great products.
Yeah, you've also done some test drives, and I recall a few of them included like small trucks, commercial, and you were as a business owner, you could go out and test drive a box truck, for example, and you had people on hand who could explain how that works.
Yeah, test drives are such an excellent opportunity for people in Houston to touch and feel an electric vehicle, and we see people get so excited when they have an opportunity to sit in one, ride in one, or drive in one, and so we make a big effort to do that. We've pioneered a toolkit to put on test drives. They can be quite expensive, but when you really dial into some efficiencies, you can really get a lot of people to experience an EV. And we focus not just on residential EVs, but just like you mentioned, kind of corporate fleets and how we think about moving goods and services throughout the city of Houston. That's a really important part of improving air quality here.
When you talk about infrastructure, are you talking about the availability of chargers for the typical driver?
Yeah, so when we talk about infrastructure, that's kind of the first thing that comes up. But in order to make that availability happen, there's a lot of things that we got to think about that go further back from the point at which you plug your car in. And so the tip of the spear is are chargers available, and where should they be? It's such an exciting problem statement to be on. It's a real estate discussion, which is quite cool, and you get a lot of unique perspectives as you start to bring in experts in these fields. But understanding how people move in Houston and in Texas and across the country, and then establishing charging locations or helping establish those is a critical part to the success.
Yeah, to go back to the test drive thing, you were you were involved in setting up a test drive from, I guess, some luxury brands. And so I was able to go to one location and test drive a Mercedes and a Porsche and a Cadillac. And I mean, there was some, I like that idea and that approach. Half the cars were electric. But I like the idea of not having to go to 10 dealers.
Yeah, so that's a big deal for us, is to create a space where someone can be interested and not know very much about the technology and come and interact with a lot of different products and interact with folks that can answer their questions. We want to be an open space for someone who's curious about EVs. You don't have to know anything about an electric vehicle to come up to Evolve Houston, visit our website, come see us at an event. And we want to help you have that first experience and help you understand the things that are exciting about the technology and help walk you through a transition to EVs. And so that event in particular was exciting, a extension of our partnership with the Houston Auto Show, which we're really excited about, to put on these localized test drives that allow people to come and sit in EVs and compare them against some of their gas
I
counterparts.
drove a Lightning at one of the auto shows. Yeah. They had a variety of cars there, and that was. When you walk in the auto show, there's Evolve. That was a major departure, I would say. I was not expecting that.
Hopefully, it was a good surprise.
Yes.
Part of our focus, the story of the auto show for us has been so exciting. Starting 5 years ago with a team showing up with some backpacks and talking to people that were there, to becoming the presenting sponsor, and growing that sponsorship into such a huge truck market here. And we're so excited about some of the EV truck technology that's come out, and Texas. The Texas Triangle is a massive truck market in the U.S. And
including self-driving trucks now.
Exactly, yeah.
One of the problems we've encountered personally with our EV, not with the EV itself, but is that one of the first major providers of charging stations has cut back on the availability of who can charge. I mean, ours will not accept fast charge, and the one that I'm talking about no longer provides the charger that we need. So I don't know what's happening in that respect. I'm aware of manufacturers who are making chargers that do specifically charge level 2. So I don't know why anyone would eliminate one of the things they need to provide. Before we get to Zip and Zap, your exciting dramatic premiere on our program, I just want to briefly mention the microtransit, which is very fascinating. I've seen the vehicles, and they're attractive, they're cute, and you say they're climate friendly, so I assume in the recent downpours we've been having, people can still utilize those effectively. I did notice fans blowing at people. They're not air conditioned per se.
Yeah, so I think this story is an interesting story, and it's a pilot. And the vehicles that we started with and the vehicles we have today are a big difference, and we're going to continue to grow that. And we're excited to grow that with a partnership with Metro and be able to deliver, meet the needs of first and last mile and intra-community needs. You see about half of our travel is to or from a Metro transit stop. And the other half of it starts going to essential destinations like grocery stores, doctors, pharmacies, etc. And so, as we grow the vehicles and start building this into a more professionalized service, you'll start to see a more consistent comfort inside the vehicle and access to the vehicle. So we're excited about that. I don't want to go too far into some of the exciting details, but
that's a free service, and that is impressive. Yeah, it's getting people connected to transportation and for that last mile. It's I think it's an incredible idea, and I'd like to hear more about your other micro grants, some of those other success stories.
Well, we're going to get to those.
Okay.
And Zip and Zap will be talking on this subject as well. So it's time for fun with Zip and Zap. Today we call it, How Do We Go From Here? Wow, Zap, this has been a great day out, riding the electric bus and getting things done, and now we're having a nice walk.
I agree, Zip, but I'm not sure how to get to the next bus stop we need. If only there were a way to ride electronically from here to there.
Wait a minute. Isn't that Casey Brown, the president of Evolve Houston, walking toward us?
Yes, I'd recognize him anywhere. Something about that smile. I bet he can help us.
You both look a little lost. Can I help you?
As a matter of fact, we're both carrying our groceries, and we wish there were an easier way than walking to get to the next bus stop.
Well, look, I'm no genie, but I can grant that wish. Here comes one of our all-electric community connectors now, and I bet you'll be happy to get out of the rain, too. Not only that, it's free. Hop in. Usually you'd have to use the app to arrange your ride, but this time I've got you covered. After all, I am Casey Brown.
Wow, thanks. And this vehicle is really cute, too. I hope there's room for us and our groceries.
No worries. It's 6 seats here and 2 empty seats. Have a great electric ride.
Only a mile or so later. Here's our bus stop.
That was quick. Thank you, kind driver. I feel electrified.
You can count on Casey Brown.
We must write him a letter of thanks.
Agreed. You write it, and I'll affix the stamp. Let's get these frozen things home. Here comes our bus, and it's electric too.
Ah, breathe that fresh, clean air.
Now this is the life.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's all for Casey. Thank you, Casey.
Casey, yay, genies are real.
All right. Calm down. No, that's enough. Okay. Please. Yeah.
The humility is outstanding.
Yes. Well, please, we haven't heard from any of you calling in with the answer to Susie's question, how do we plug in? We're going to get to that. Remind us before we run out of time. And, Bernard. Bernard is calling from New York. Bernard, go ahead.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
All right. You called on a good day. We have...
good. Yeah, and I don't have to move my car so soon today.
Tell us about your adventures in moving your car in New York. Why you have to do it so often?
Well, first I want to tell you about this article that I read in my my hometown paper yesterday, which is the New York Times.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've heard of it, yeah.
So, this is the article. Why Americans can't buy the world's best electric car.
Huh.
Have you ever heard of a BYD?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, according to this article, it's surpassed Tesla in sales. It's expected to pull even with the world's biggest car makers, and supposed to be the best electric car in the world. And it's not available here because of tariffs. But if it was available here, it seems that they would put all the car makers out of business because it sells for $10,000, the equivalent of $10,000 in China.
Yeah.
Because it's vertically integrated. They make all their own parts. They own the silicon mines, or they have interest in the silicon mines, and they even build the ships that they use to transport the cars on.
Well, maybe Casey Brown, who's with us from Evolve Houston, could speak to that.
I think what's exciting here, I want to tell Bernard I'm not an expert on tariffs, okay? But what's exciting that this question's talking about are the most popular cars in the world are EVs. We're talking about brands and models that are electric vehicles, and one of the things that's exciting here, you see it reflected here in Houston, Texas, is these top-selling models are electric vehicles, and people are gravitating towards them. They're interested in them. They're they're great products. They're safe, reliable. They're fast. They're fun. And so I think out of all of the question, that's something that I want to pull out. That's positive. This is not a science experiment. The EVs are here, and here in Houston, Texas, we're adopting them at a rapid pace. And I don't know. That's what I pulled out of it, Bernard.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying that this is going to be, it would put every car out of business.
Well, the one you're talking
right
about.
Now, all we have going is the auto industry.
The one you're talking about claims to charge very quickly and go very far, I believe.
Well, the BYD is coming out with a solid-state battery, they say, by 2030.
And for build your dreams, by
Yeah,
the way.
which will be a major change. But BYD is coming on strong everywhere. That ship that you talked about just delivered 7,000 EVs to Brazil. There is a secondary automotive market in South America and most of the world that Ford and Chevy and had a place in. I doubt they do anymore. The Chinese are coming on strong, and if we don't pay attention, we're going to lose any chance of having EVs or the next form of transportation. And we're having a manufacturer.
Not just transportation, pretty much everything. China's the future. I remember when I was a kid, they were saying China was the sleeping giant.
Yes.
That like years ago, and now here it is. So they have this Blade battery, it's called, and it's among the safest and most cost efficient in the world.
Yeah.
Well, stay with us, Bernard. We want to talk some more with Casey Brown, see if any of this is what's going on in New York as well. I don't know if there are free circulator buses available there, but maybe Casey knows.
Yeah, I think when you look at this form, there's this particular form of microtransit. It's hard to find parallels to this, and there's some aspects about Houston, Texas, that make this even more exciting. It's catching the attention of a lot of different major cities around the U.S. And so when you look at transportation in New York and transportation in Houston, Texas, those are dramatically different environments and different challenges. And so what's so unique about this and this first and last mile challenge here in New York City, there's a lot of stacked living in New York City and very, very easy access to transit stops. And that's not the case here in all places. And so, that's really where the value starts to deliver here.
Well, tell us briefly about the experience of using the microtransit here. I need to get somewhere. How do I get started?
Sure. So today you download an app. I'll tell you the app's name in just a second, but you hail a ride. It's a rideshare service similar to what you'd use for other large rideshare service providers. So you download an app. It's called the Ride Circuit app. It's a green tile with what looks like a white spiral on it. You'll see the logos on the cars. You can go to our website. You can go to Metro's website. It'll guide you through the exact app that you need to download. You tell it where you're at. You tell it what kind of ride you need and how many friends you have with you. And if you're within one of our zones, you get a little notification about when they're going to be there to pick you up, and you hop in, and away you go.
So it comes to you and takes you where you need to go. But what if you don't have a phone?
Oh, we're working on a system to call in. You can wave a ride down. Our drivers will be happy to assist you with marking your ride as well. So those are some of the challenges that we're beginning to address today as the service has exploded. The ridership has been phenomenal lately. I mean, we just continue to grow every month. It's really exciting. But with that comes some challenges. If you don't have a phone, we're finding ways to work with communities, and our drivers are from the communities that we serve, and so they have a good understanding of how to meet those needs. But at scale, we're working on a call center solution, and a few other options as well.
Are your riders?
I think we have a call.
Well, we don't have time today. We're running out of time, but are your riders aware that they're in an electric vehicle?
They are. We try and make them aware of it. So inside the vehicle, we let them know that they're in an electric vehicle. We do get asked from time to time, but many of them don't know. And so we continue to tell people that it's an all-electric fleet. We're excited to solve this first and last mile with EVs and partner with great organizations to operate an EV fleet.
You got
So
4 minutes.
No. So quickly, Colin, answer Susie's question about how
Oh,
you plug
well,
in.
yeah, the first thing I would say is that most people don't drive more than 40 miles in a day. You can plug into a 110 volt connection in your garage, and you'll get 40 miles a day with no extra electrician visit, no 220 volt, no. But otherwise, and usually the car comes with a 120 volt charger. Most manufacturers. If you want faster than that, you can have a dryer outlet, basically, or it's a 1450 that at 40 amps will get you charged up pretty quickly and easily overnight. So that and that you may have to purchase a charger, but it's not difficult. Amazon's all over it.
So,
Thank you.
all right, and we'll tell you more personally. You've been listening to Houston EV Hub here on KPFT 90.1 FM. I'm David C. Lowy. Thanks to Colin Lowen, our producer, Susie Lovejoy, Zap, and our panelist, Rico, and I've forgotten our trainee's name, but thank you, and I'll thank you afterwards. And especially to our special guest today, Casey Brown from Evolve Houston. We want to talk with you more in the future, and I want to attend some of your events and have you help us stage events too, because I'm the vice president of Houston Electric
That's
Vehicle
right.
Association. Right on. Be a hero. By driving better, you'll be saving lives. Thanks for listening, everybody.
HoustonEVA.org is the connector.
Thank you.
You anywhere. If you want to go somewhere in particular, you gotta follow the right line. But there's a line on the ground most places, and we're gonna follow that line to whatever we might find, though it might not be just what we were expecting. There's just no point directing that line on the ground. If you let it, it just might take you anywhere. If you let it, it just might take you anywhere.